see me. Are we here? All right, if you can see me, then say, hey, how's it going? So if you can see me, give me a message saying, hey, how's it going? And so I know that everything is working as it should. And while I wait for someone to say yes, then I will have a sip of tea. Yay, I'm live. Hello everyone, how are you? Sorry about that. As always, a bit of a bumpy start. But hopefully now you can see me well enough. I've made sure that this is streaming in 480p today, and hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. I did try to put in a new microphone connection. As someone mentioned yesterday, these wires are very awkward, but unfortunately with the microphone that I have, it would only be heard in one ear, which would not be good for everybody. So, hello everyone. Today, obviously, we have quite an interesting lesson. Today we're talking about the subject of sex. Not something that we often talk about in a formal situation. So before we start, I will say that this is an educational lesson about English. So English language, vocabulary, slang. But of course, we're covering the topic of sex. So I would hope that everyone here will be very respectful and that we're not going to have any unpleasant comments or inappropriate comments. And just to be warned that anyone who does think it's funny to write inappropriate comments, I do have a whole host of moderators working during this session, and they will ban from the channel anyone who is inappropriate. So be very careful what you write, especially if you appreciate these lessons and want to keep viewing them. You wouldn't want to get banned. So there's my word of warning. You now know. Let's say hello, see who is here. So I have Hamza, hi, from Jordan, but living in Sunderland. Lovely. I have Mohammed, Juan, hola Juan, ¿cómo estás? I have Samuel, hi, I'm very well, thank you. I have Hippolito, hello. William, David. I've got people here from Chile. I've got Gal. English Express Learn English, hello. Ahmed, lots of you in today. Wonderful. So, if you are here, please, before we start, do make sure that you are a subscriber. That's all I ask in return. Of course, I do lots of lessons for you guys, and I don't ask anything in return other than a thumbs up and a subscribe. It's free for you guys, but it makes a huge difference to me. So if you can give this video a thumbs up and click on the subscribe button, that would be fabulous. While I'm here, I'm also going to give a big shout out again to my fabulous patrons. Your support is amazing, and in return, obviously, you get your rewards, and I'm going to start doing live broadcasts, especially for you. In fact, everyone, this particular topic, this lesson is going to be split into two because the subject of sex is huge. When I was writing my lesson plan for today, I realized there are so many aspects of sex that need to be covered when we're talking about the language around this topic. And so I've decided it's not going to be practical to fit everything into just 1 hour session. So I'm going to split it into 2 sessions. So today we're going to talk about sex in general and the word sex. And then in my next session, I will talk about the actual act of sex and words that we use and just the general act of sex. And that lesson is going to be it'll be live for patrons only, and that'll be on Monday morning at 10 a.m. So if you're watching and you're a patron, then you should have had a notification that you will be invited to the live session on Monday at 10 a.m. for the second part of this lesson. If you want to be a patron, then you can be. Patrons basically support this channel by making a small monthly donation, and it can be as small as $1 a month. In return, you get access to all my videos early, and you'll also get access to the extra live broadcasts that I'll do. And there'll be much smaller classes, so I can answer your comments and interact with you on a much more intimate basis. So if you would like to be involved in the Patreon campaign and join those extra broadcasts, then you can use the link in the description of this video to go and check out all the other rewards as well. Some patrons get Skype calls and some get to join the WhatsApp group. And so there's lots to check out there. What else was I going to tell you? Oh, yes, so that video, after it's gone live with my patrons, will eventually come onto this channel. So even if you don't want to be a patron, that's absolutely fine. You'll still have access to those that session. It just won't be live. You'll have to watch it afterwards. Okay, so I hope that's clear. So I've got Tommy. No, there will be no demonstrations, Tommy, I'm afraid. Some of you are working now, so you can't watch the whole lesson. Okay, well, maybe you can come back later and watch it later, but thank you for popping in and saying hello. Prince PS has said, your teaching is excellent. I subscribed to your channel a couple of months ago. Thank you very much, Prince. Some of you saying, I love your videos. Hello, Yuya. How are you? Yuya is one of my patrons. Nice to have you here. Luca, hi. Antonio. Oh, Antonio, thank you very much. You're making me blush. You think I'm the best English YouTube teacher. Thank you. That's very kind. Okay. Fabulous. So yes, it is a hot topic that we're covering today. So I made sure I've got a nice full cup of tea. And for the lovely viewer yesterday who gave me a super chat, and you said with that money I should buy some coffee, I must tell you that today I did buy some coffee with the money that you donated via super chat. I bought some coffee and I've had 2 cups of coffee today. So thank you very much for that donation. Guys, anyone who's interested, there is a super chat function available on this video. So if you would like to sponsor the video, and if you'd like your comment to stand out and stick to the top of the comments board, then you can do that by using the super chat function, which is next to the emoji button in the comments. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? Sex. Now, in the UK, the age of consent, which is where you are allowed to have sex, the age of consent for sex is 16 years old. So you're not legally allowed to have sex until you are at least 16 years old. Is this different in your country? So you do have to be very careful when you decide and who you decide to have sex with. You have to make sure that you're old enough and that they are old enough. Very important. If the person you're having sex with is underage, if they are underaged, then that will be an illegal act to have sex with them. So you have to be very, very careful. Okay. Fabulous. I'm just trying to read some of the comments. So if I go quiet, it's just because I'm reading. So the age of consent is 16. The age of consent. You would hear that phrase used a lot when talking about sex around with younger people. And if someone is, then they are considered to be underaged. Underaged. Okay? So, sex, before you have sex, you are a virgin. Now, let's make sure we're pronouncing this properly. You are a V, bottom lip, top teeth, virgin. Virgin. A lot of my students have a problem with this J sound, and this is the tongue on the top of the mouth. J. Almost like you're saying a D, but with a little bit more tongue touching the roof. J, j, j. So you are a virgin. If you have not had sex, you are a virgin. And there is a film that I'm reminded of, which is very funny, which is the 40-year-old virgin. The 40-year-old virgin. So let's have a look. Goodness me, so lots of you commenting here. In India, the legal age of consent for sex is 18. That's interesting. And in Spain, it's 16, the same as here. In Brazil, the age is 18. Oh, in Germany, the legal age is 14. Lost has said, in Turkey, it's 40. Is that right? That can't be right. You're playing with me. You're having a little joke. In Italy, Laura said the threshold is 18. We wouldn't use thresholds, just say the age of consent. The age of consent is 18. Eric has also questioned 40. I'm sure that's a joke. Some of you have said in Louisiana Dave said in Louisiana it's 17, but they prefer that you're 18 or older. In the Czech Republic, it's 15. Mexico, 18. Yes, wonderful. It's interesting, isn't it, how different things are in different countries. Just a reminder that we do have our moderators in, so be careful of your comments. If they are deemed to be offensive, then you will be removed. So if you don't want to miss out on this lesson, be careful what you say, okay? Also, there's probably some younger people here, some much younger people here, so let's keep it clean. Okay, Hamza says, I'm doing a master's with an S on the end, Hamza, in the UK. The biggest problem to me is the accents. Everyone has a different accent. It's really confusing. Yes, well, as you probably know, I do have an accent series that will help you with that. Okay. So let's carry on. Oh, actually, there's a good point. How many people keep chastity before marriage in England for religious reasons? The word chastity is one to be aware of. We don't use it very often, but you should know what it means. To be chaste, to have your chastity, is to have your virginity. So if someone takes your chastity, then they take your virginity. So how many people keep their chastity before marriage in England? So don't have sex before marriage for religious reasons. I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know what the statistics are, but I imagine it's quite low. And also, particularly because I think religion isn't as high. Strict religion is not very high in the UK, especially within younger generations. We are not strictly religious. And even the ones who are strictly religious, we are, I think the majority, as far as I know, the majority in the UK, I think, follow Christianity. And it's only in Catholicism that you're not supposed to have sex before marriage. In Christianity, I think you can have sex before marriage. So the majority, I may be wrong. I'm not hot on statistics, but I think the majority are Christian. A majority are not strictly religious, but those who are mostly Christian, and Christians are open to sex before marriage. So I think it's quite low, in answer to your question. Abdullah has said, can we use the word virgin for both men and women? Yes, we can. And make sure, Abdullah, you're saying men, plural, M-E-N, and women, plural. Man and woman, you'd have to say, can we say virgin for both our man and our woman? But if we're talking plural, can we say virgin for both men and women? Yes, we do. That's what we say. Virgin man, virgin woman. Okay. So if you are a virgin, you have virginity. And when you first have sex, you lose your virginity. So when you have sex, we say you lose your virginity. You lose your virginity. So I might say, I lost my virginity. Yesterday I lost my virginity. You didn't. Yes, I did. Okay. So someone might ask you, how old were you when you lost, in the past, when you lost your virginity? And your answer might be, well, I haven't lost my virginity. I am a virgin. Okay, some of you are asking me to stream on Facebook. As you probably noticed from my last few lessons, sometimes streaming both YouTube and Facebook can be disruptive. If I have a problem on one or the other, then it slows things down. So I thought it would be easier with a session like this to simply do it in one place so I can focus and have no troubles. So Muslims cannot have sex before marriage, is that what you're saying? Okay, it's interesting. Different religions have different views on things, of course. And Cinnamon Studio, you're saying it's an interesting point. I always thought Christian religions were strict with keeping virginity. As far as I know, the biggest difference between Catholicism and Christians when it comes to relationships is that Christians can be divorced and married again, and I think Christians can have sex before marriage. Okay. Okay, cool. So once you have sex, once you're legal, you have the legal age to have sex, and you start having sex, hopefully you'll be having sex in a committed relationship. If you are in a committed relationship, that just means that you are in a relationship which you're committed to. So you're with a boyfriend or girlfriend, or you are married, or you are engaged to be married. So this is a committed relationship. Sometimes people have sex when they are not in a committed relationship. If you are having sex with people who you are not committed to, so it's not exclusive, this is a good word to remember, exclusive. If it's not exclusive, then you are having casual sex. Casual sex. So if you are not in a committed relationship, it's not exclusive. So it means you could have sex with Tina on Monday and then have sex with Stacy on Friday, and that's okay because you're not in a committed relationship. Then you are having casual sex. Usually casual sex happens without dating. So if you're not dating someone but you do get together and have sex, then that is called casual sex. Okay. Those of you who are asking questions, unless it's related to exactly what I'm talking about right now, hold it for later and I'll open up to questions later, because otherwise I'll miss it. So someone has said, I am still on virgin. You can only say that if you're talking about being on a virgin plane or a virgin flight, because of course we have the brand Virgin, which is owned by Richard Branson. So you can only say I'm on a virgin flight or on a virgin plane. But you can't say I am still on virgin. That doesn't work as a sentence. Grammatically, it's incorrect. I am still a virgin if you're talking about yourself. Okay? Tristan, lots of you are talking about religion now, of course. Tristan said Catholics are Christians. Yes, but it's a different version, isn't it? So Christianity was born out of Catholicism. That's a word to get your mouth around. Catholicism. But let's not get sidetracked into religion, because that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about sex. It makes me embarrassed every time I say that word. So something you should know about the UK or about English people is that generally we don't discuss sex openly, or not as openly as I know sex is discussed in other countries. I was having an interesting discussion with my WhatsApp members. So I have an English WhatsApp group, and we were having a discussion today about how you learned about sex. And in England, most of us will learn about sex from our friends, because our parents are too embarrassed to talk to us about sex. And so most of us learn about sex from our friends, and then we would normally have at least one lesson, but not many, probably 1 or 2 lessons at school about sex and how babies are made. And that's about it, really. Then maybe our parents will talk to us about sex to make sure we're having safe sex. But we don't really talk about it. So what we learn is from our friends and from films, and yeah, we get quite embarrassed. But I know in other countries it's different, and in other countries people are open and speak quite honestly about sex, which there is nothing to be embarrassed about, really. I know that. It's just how we have been brought up, how we have been raised, to not talk about things that are too personal. Khaleb is saying, can I ask you personal questions, Anna? I worry about saying yes because of the subject. I wonder what you're going to ask. You can always try and ask, as long as it's not too rude or offensive. And if I don't want to answer, I probably won't. So there you go. So yes, we talked about casual sex. Sometimes you will meet somebody, and on that night when you're out and you meet someone, you might decide that you both want to have sex, and it's just once. So, or maybe you've been friends with someone for a long time, and one night you have sex with them, but you don't do it again, just the one time. If you have sex one time with a person, this is called a one-night stand. A one-night stand. Okay? And a one-night stand, well, I mean, some people feel good about it, some people don't feel good about it. It's not something I've done. But there's nothing wrong with it, I guess, if both adults are consenting adults. But one-night stands do happen quite often, and so that's one thing to be aware of. So you would say, have you ever had a one-night stand? You'd say, yes, I had a one-night stand last week, or last night I had a one-night stand. Or you could say, he or she was my one-night stand. So you can use it as a noun, my one-night stand. Okay? Just so you know, I'm seeing so many comments coming through. If I don't respond to you, it's nothing personal. It's just that I can't see everyone's comments. Of course, you do have the option, if you did a super chat, then your comment will flash up and it will stay at the top of the board for everyone and for me. So if you're desperate to get your point across, then that's an option for you. Okay, so if you are in a committed relationship and you decide, maybe you're married or you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and you decide that you like someone at work, or you meet someone and you decide to have sex with them, even though you're married, then this is called cheating. Very bad. This is called cheating. So if you cheat on your partner or your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, if you cheat on them, then you are called a cheater. A cheater. It's very similar sounding to the animal, a cheetah, but it's spelt differently. Cheetah, it's spelled C-H-E-A-T-E-R. Of course, nobody wants to be branded a cheater. And if you are the other person and your partner was the cheater, then you have been cheated on. So you might say, I find it hard to trust people because I have been cheated on. I have been cheated on. If you're talking in the future, you say to someone, I don't want you to cheat on me. Or I don't want to be cheated on. So we're always using on. Don't cheat on me. I have never been cheated on. And I have never cheated on somebody. So cheating. A couple of other words that are coming through here. Very nice. Thank you for contributing. We have other words which are, another word for virgin is to be celibate. To be celibate is to make a choice not to have sex. So if I said to you, when did you lose your virginity? You might say, actually, I'm celibate, meaning I have decided not to have sex. I'm celibate. I've taken a vow of celibacy, which a lot of priests do. They take a vow of celibacy. So other words for cheating, as our viewers have put forward here, are adultery, adultery. So if we use this word, we say to commit adultery, to commit adultery, like committing a crime. You have committed adultery. If you are someone who commits adultery, you are an adulterer. Adultery can also be called infidelity. Infidelity. But we will not say that someone who commits infidelity is an infidel. We don't commonly associate those two words like that. So I could commit I could commit an act of infidelity, but people wouldn't call me an infidel. They would call me a cheater. Okay, let's see if there's any other ones that I've missed. So SBH said, I cheated on school. Do you mean you cheated on an exam at school? Because to cheat on school would suggest you were in a committed relationship with school. It doesn't quite make sense. Jose said, I have cheated on someone, with a question mark. Yes, that's the right sentence. Oh, sorry, sorry, you're asking me. I've read it incorrectly. Have you cheated on someone? No, and that grammar is correct. Well done. Okay, so another way to talk about someone being an adulterer, someone cheating, is to say that they are having an affair. Someone is having an affair. And that's spelled A-F-F-A-I-R. To have an affair. You could say, my husband had an affair last year. I'm considering having an affair because I'm so unhappy. Or, I promise I will never have an affair. And bear in mind, I'm using an instead of a because the vowel starts the word affair. An affair. an affair. Berger just asking about the spelling of celibate. It's spelt with a C, not an F. Celibate, celibate. So another word for an affair, infidelity, adultery is to be, thank you Antonio, is to be unfaithful. To be unfaithful. So we use this both to be loyal and to cheat, to be faithful. So if you are someone who does not cheat on your partner, you are a faithful person and you are in a faithful relationship. Or if you cheat on your partner, you are unfaithful. You are unfaithful. You are in an unfaithful relationship. Okay? Oh, going back to the word affair, sometimes it's coupled with the word extramarital affair. This is the full term for it, an extramarital affair. Extramarital affair. And this just means outside of marriage. Outside of marriage. So if you're married and you have an affair, you are having an extramarital affair. Okay. Mihail, thank you very much. You're doing your job very well. Okay. So, if you have sex with someone more than once, so it's not a one-night stand, but you're not in a committed relationship, so you're having casual sex with just one person, and maybe it's committed for a short time, but it's only for a short time. So maybe you're having sex with the same person for 1 month. This is called a fling. Fling. F-L-I-N-G. And an N-G is made with the back of the tongue high. Ing. Ing. So we say fling. There's lots of sounds in there which some people would struggle with depending on your language. We have the F, we have the L, and then we have the ing, ing, fling. So fling can mean to have a short period of enjoyment. So sometimes the word fling is used for other things, not just for an affair or to have a sexual relation with somebody. It can be used in other ways. It can also mean to throw something. So I could fling my car keys on the floor. So I fling my coat onto the bed. So it means to throw. But in terms of sex, if you have a short-term relationship with somebody that you don't take too seriously, you call it a fling. And yes, quite rightly, some other people have suggested, Patrick and April Ryan too has said, this could also be, no, I'd say it's slightly different. You've mentioned friends with benefits. Friends with benefits, I would say, is more like casual sex. Because the phrase friends with benefits refers to someone you are friends with who you occasionally have sex with. So the sex is the benefit. So they're a friend with benefits. But say you have 2 friends with benefits and you occasionally sleep with one and occasionally sleep with the other. They're not one-night stands because you're doing it more than once. Maybe twice with Tracy and 5 times with April. I don't know why I used April because I read April. So twice with Tracy and 5 times with Nora. I've lost my train of thought here. So it's not a one-night stand. It's not a one-night stand because you've done it more than once, but you're also not in a relationship with anybody. So that's friends with benefits, but a fling would be if you did it with just one person. So if you only had sex with Nora, who was a friend, but you were having sex on a regular basis with, but nobody else, then that would be more of a fling. If you're doing it with more than one and it's not committed at all, then that's casual sex. Friends with benefits. Oh gosh, so much to talk about on this subject, so much. And we're over half an hour in already and I haven't even got my board out. Goodness me. Okay, let's move on. So I've talked about fling, we've talked about affair and cheating. So overall, generally in the UK, we believe in something called a monogamous relationship. Monogamous is spelled MONOGAMOUS. Let me just write this down for you. Monogamous. We believe in monogamous relationships. Monogamy means to be faithful, to be with just one person faithfully at a time. So in some cultures, it's believed, it's accepted to have more than one lover at the same time, or to be married to more than one woman. So you may have a polygamous. There's a word for having more than one wife. But in the UK, we believe in monogamous relationships. So you would just marry, hopefully, you'll marry one person. The two of you will be in love for the rest of your life and live happily ever after. With no one else, no extramarital affairs, no flings, no one-night stands, just two people, monogamous for a long time. Happy, happy, happy. Okay, let's carry on. All right. So before I move on to other words and slang that we use for the word sex, I'm just going to mention that the word sex can also, of course, mean gender. Gender. So what gender are you? What sex are you? You'll normally see this written on forms. It will say name, age, sex. And this doesn't mean what position do you like to have sex in. It means what is your gender. So are you male? Are you female? Of course, there are other gender types that are coming through that are becoming more prominent in society, which is to be transgender, to be someone who is changing gender. So sex refers to gender. Good. Okay, so let's now talk about different words that we use for sex. Just have a quick look at the board before I do. Bring out my whiteboard. Polyamorous. Polyamorous is the word. Yes, that rings a bell. I think it's polyamorous. Okay. Alrighty. So let me get out my whiteboard. So these are the words that I think are most regularly used in the UK to cover things like sex. So just things like sex to cover sex. What am I talking about? I need more coffee. So, formal ways, safe ways to talk about sex without upsetting anybody or without sounding too informal. We, of course, can say, have sex. So, I might say to you, have you had sex with him? Have you had sex with her? I might say, last night they had, past tense, they had sex. If we're talking about two people doing it in general, we'll say, they regularly have sex. The neighbours have loud sex and keep me awake. how rude. So that would be a polite way to talk about sex, to have sex. A very lovely way to talk about it, a very gentle way to talk about sex in a monogamous, happy, committed relationship would be to say, make love. So a man and wife, a husband and wife would make love on their wedding night to consummate their marriage. So to make love. You might say, I enjoy making love on a Sunday evening with my beautiful husband, my beautiful wife. You might also say, sleep with. This is perfectly acceptable to use. Are you sleeping with him? Did you sleep with her? Are you two sleeping together? Of course, we don't mean actually sleep. We mean that you share a bed and have sex or make love. And if you're talking about something you did in the past, you would say, we slept together once, many years ago, but it was only a one-night stand. Slept. We sometimes say, do it. And this is possibly just a British English thing, I'm not sure, but this is a way of talking about it without mentioning it. So if you don't want to say make love, or you don't want to say the word sex because it embarrasses you, you could say, did you do it? They were doing it last night. We haven't done it in a very long time. So it's a very safe way if you are embarrassed to talk about sex. Lots of questions coming through. Remember, I will open up to questions later. So if you're talking about anything that's not directly associated with what I'm saying right now, hold back and I'll answer questions on this subject towards the end. Okay? So, do it. Very old-fashioned ways to talk about sex are to say fornicate. But it's very, very old-fashioned. I haven't heard this word for a long time. Did you two fornicate? Have you been fornicating? Have you? I wouldn't fornicate with him if you paid me. And a similar word to fornicate is to copulate. Copulate. They were copulating in the bushes. Naughty. Just to go back actually, this word, a lot of students shorten these vowels here, these long vowels, to I when it should be E. I actually did a video about this not so long ago. It can be very embarrassing if you mix up your vowel sounds. And in this instance, you wouldn't want to say slip with when you mean sleep with. So make sure you're pronouncing that correctly. Sleep with. Because to slip is completely different to sleep. Okay. Sometimes you'll hear people referring to sex as sexual intercourse. This is a very, very formal way of talking about it. Probably your doctor would talk about sexual intercourse. You visit your doctor and you say, I have a problem, I have a pain in my testicles, or I'm feeling sick every morning, I don't know why. They might say, when was the last time you had sexual intercourse? Oh, doctor, I don't know. I haven't had sex with my husband for many years. Oh, okay. Some people might refer to it as sexual relations. Sexual relations. And this always reminds me of that American president, was it Bill Clinton? Who says, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. So again, it's a very formal way to talk about sex. Sexual relations. sexual relations. Okay, and the very final one on this list, formal word, is mate. To mate. They are mating. They mated yesterday. They will mate tomorrow. However, mate is pretty much always only used with animals. Although humans mate, we don't say that. We don't say that two people were mating. Even though technically they are, we only use it for animals. So the cows were mating, the horses will mate next year, or whatever the sentence is. To mate is used with animals. Everything else we use with humans. So, have sex, make love, sleep with, do it. Fornicate, copulate, sexual intercourse, sexual relations, and mate. Wonderful. Okay, so before we move on, let's have a look at some of your comments. So if you have a specific question regarding any of those that we've just covered, or something else, then throw it at me. Let's have a look. Are you an English teacher? That's what we're doing. We're learning English and I'm teaching. So technically, yes, I am an English teacher. What else are we saying? Copulate sounds like it's referring to animals. Yes, you would say, so copulate and fornicate, I would expect to hear more with animals as well. So although you can use it with people, you can also use fornicate and copulate to talk about animals mating. Ramazan has said, please say hello. Hello! Oh my god, copulate is so old-fashioned. Yes, it is very old-fashioned. JCR has said the Nike slogan is just do it, which obviously doesn't mean sex, but it could refer to sex. Just do it. Just have sex. I'm never going to see that slogan and think of it in the same way again. Every time I see Nike now, I'm going to think of that. So thank you, JCR. What else are we saying? How do we use make love? Well, you could say to your partner, would you like to make love tonight? Come to my room so we can make love. Or, I don't like it when he keeps his socks on to make love. Or, they were making love on a regular basis, but she didn't fall pregnant. Or, they didn't make love on a Friday night. They never made love on a Friday night. So that's how you use make love. Make love is used in the same way that you'd use have sex. Do you usually have a cup of tea or coffee? Well, that's a completely different subject. I drink usually 1 cup of coffee a day, although today I had 2 cups of coffee because the coffee I bought with yesterday's donation from that fabulous viewer who donated some money to the channel yesterday via Super Chat. So I bought some new coffee, which was delicious. So I had 2 cups of coffee today. So thank you. But then after coffee, I will generally have tea and lots of herbal tea as well, because it's good for you. One of you has said, what does it mean to fool around? Fool around. Going back to having an affair or being unfaithful, fool around is exactly the same. So if I am married or if I am in a committed relationship and I start to have sexual relations with somebody else, that's considered fooling around. But fooling around doesn't just mean sex. I could be, and actually, you can fool around with someone and not be in a committed relationship. I generally associate it with being in a committed relationship and doing something you shouldn't, but You can just say that two people were fooling around. They might both be single. They may have met at a party, be fooling around. And this could mean that they're just kissing, or they're just touching and kissing and cuddling. They are fooling around. Can I say make love with? Yes, I make love with my husband. We mostly say make love to. We make love to one another. But yes, you could say we make love with each other. I make love with my lover. Dating someone means that's implicit a bed relationship, or is it used for people that are just seeing one another? Dating, you might be dating somebody but not sleeping with them. So dating doesn't necessarily include sex or mean that sex is involved. Some people will date for weeks and weeks without ever sleeping with somebody. I've been on dates with people and never had sex with them. Dating is just spending time together in an official way, like going to the cinema or going to a restaurant. But in general, if you're saying we're dating, then it means it's a regular thing and you're in some form of committed relationship. So you're in the early stages of a committed relationship if you're dating. Okay, thank you, Mihail. Once again, you're doing a good job. I'm glad you're here moderating for me. So Psychotic Mind has said, just a question, no offense meant, but do you identify as a feminist? Now you're opening a can of worms here by asking this question. The problem is that feminist or feminism is misconstrued, and lots of people think that being a feminist means that you hate men, whereas actually feminism means that you believe that women should have equal rights. So you believe that men and women are equal and should be treated equally in every respect. And so in that respect, yes, of course I'm a feminist. I believe that men and women are equal and we should have equal opportunities and equal respect and equal pay. I believe that humans are humans and people deserve what they work for and should not be treated differently because of their gender or their age or their race or religion, etc., etc. So in that respect, yes, I'm a feminist. But am I a man-hater or the other version of feminist that people seem to associate with? No, I'm not. I hope that makes sense. Do you have sugar in your coffee? That, again, is off subject. No, I don't have sugar. I'm sweet enough. Okay, I'm going to carry on with the lesson because we're getting lots of questions that are not on topic. Deepak, you're saying, I am committing love with my girlfriend. That's not correct. You don't commit love. Love is not a crime. You commit adultery. To betray your committed partner is adultery. So you commit adultery, you commit a crime, but you don't commit love. You could be in a committed relationship. You could say, I love my girlfriend. I am committed to my girlfriend. I'm loyal to my girlfriend. I'm committed to her. But you're not committing love with your girlfriend. You could make love to your girlfriend or make love with your girlfriend. Okay, let's carry on. So, we've talked about formal ways to talk about sex, but what about the informal ways? Lots of you have been saying some of these already. So, we have a whole host of them here. Let's put this on the other side. Move over. So, you might have it off with someone. And these are phrases you'd only use with your friends. So, the words in blue the blue words are words that you could use with your friends, phrases you can use with your friends. The ones in red you have to be very careful of, because usually these are offensive and probably best not to use them. Anyway, so you can have it off with someone. So I might say to you, hey, did you have it off with Brian from the office? Did you? Yeah, we had it off all night. So to have it off. One of the funny ones, I think, is the word bonk. And the reason I think this is funny is because when I was younger, me and my friends would talk about bonking. They were bonking all night. And if you're learning French, the French word for bank is bonk, le bonk. And so when we were at primary school learning French and we knew the word bonk meant to have sex, and then the teacher would say, le bonk, we'd all start laughing because that was so funny that the word for sex in our language meant bank in French. So bonk, bonking. Do you fancy a bonk? You could also say to get laid. Last night we got laid. I got laid. So it's only one person talking about doing that. I got laid, he got laid. Everyone in the room got laid. But you don't lay together. You wouldn't say we got laid together. You just talk about your own experience. I got laid. Did you get laid? So some of you are saying that these words seem vulgar. Yes, yes. And of course it's important that you know these words. Some people will find these words offensive and some people will say, what? That's not offensive at all. And everyone has a different opinion on it. It's just important that you have a knowledge of all of these words so that you know which words you should use, which words you definitely shouldn't use, and which words to be careful of. And if someone uses these words in front of you, then you know what they mean. So one of you said yesterday something about deep throat. Deep throat, to anyone native, is generally a sexual term. It's something I'm going to cover tomorrow, on Monday, in Monday's lesson. Remember, that one's for patrons only. But I'm going to cover deep throat in that lesson. And that's a sexual term, but the student who mentioned it yesterday didn't know that. They thought of it referring to something else. And that could be embarrassing if you use a term that's sexual, not realizing it's sexual. And that's why these lessons are important for you. Okay? So you can get laid. And in the same way you can say, I scored. I scored last night. Like in a sporting term, did you score? Yeah, I scored with that girl. Me and that guy scored. We regularly use, and this is very common, hook up. Very common at the moment in the UK. You might ask someone, do you want to hook up tonight? Or he's trying to hook up with that girl. Or those two hooked up a few months ago. They hooked up, they got together and they had sex. Now some of you are asking me, what is Netflix and chill? Netflix and chill is a very recent addition to this list. It's only been used in the last few years as far as I know. And if you ask someone, do they want to Netflix and chill? It means, do you want to come to my house, watch a film on Netflix and have sex? Netflix and chill. I don't use it because it's so modern. It's what the kids use. Not me. If you have sex, you might be described as getting lucky. Did you get lucky last night? No, but I hope to get lucky tonight. My friend who I've been trying to score with for the last 3 weeks has asked me around for Netflix and chill, so I'm hoping I'm going to get lucky. You can also say get busy. Do you want to take my beer? I'm going to go and get busy. So to have sex, to get busy. Sometimes we say, I'm going to go all the way. suggesting that if you just do kissing or touching, then that's going some of the way. But to go all the way is to have sex. So to go all the way to have sex. April Ryan says, I was misled by a guy who offered me Netflix and chill. Oh dear. Well, hopefully now you know what Netflix and chill is, you won't get misled again. I'm sorry to hear that. So, all the way. I know when I was younger, my friends used to say to me, so did you go all the way? No, we didn't go all the way. We went some of the way, but not all the way. Yes, all of these terms in blue are used for male and female. Although I would say probably I hear the word score and get laid for men more than women. So men would say score more than women would. And maybe that's a sporting thing, I don't know. Maybe because more men play football or whatever and they talk about scoring. But you can use them for both. You might say, we got it on, and there's a famous song. Let's get it on. Who was that? I can't think of the name. There's a very famous singer who sings a song, Get It On. So, Psychotic Mind has suggested one that I haven't thought of, but is an interesting one. Slap and tickle. A little bit of slap and tickle doesn't necessarily mean full-on sex. It could just be fooling around. A little bit of kissing. Slap and tickle. Okay. Home run. Like score is like a sporting term, but referring to sex. When I was younger and I was with my friends, we'd talk about sex and we talk about first base, second base, third base, and a home run. First base is to kiss someone, I think. Second base is to touch each other in places. Third base is oral sex. And a home run is full sex. So, TMK First has said another one, get your leg over. So, get a leg over is putting your leg over someone and having sex. So, to get a leg over. Dave Cameron, Barry White. Is it Barry White or Marvin Gaye? Oh, now I'm not sure. Let's get it on. One of those singers definitely sang that song. Great song. Hump is another fun one, to hump. We also talk about dogs humping. So if a dog is feeling sexual towards you, and when you walk in the room, the dog wants to have sex with your leg and starts doing this to your leg, then it's said the dog is humping your leg. So I don't want to come to your house because your dog keeps humping my leg. But we also use hump with people as well. And you might say get some. Usually when you're gossiping with your friends, did you get some? Did she give you some? Did he give you some? Oh, I need to get some. People might say that stuff. I don't know. David Cameron, Marvin Gaye sang Sexual Healing. There you go. So if you don't know that song, look it up. Marvin Gaye, Sexual Healing. Lovely. Okay, so now we're on to the words that I would be very careful to use. The word shag. Let's shag. Let's have sex. They were shagging all night. Now, when I was younger, the word shag I considered to be a light swear word, very light swear word like shit. And I would feel embarrassed. I would never say shag in front of my parents. As an adult, I don't think that shag is that bad, but I just wouldn't use it. I wouldn't use shag. So be careful with that one if you decide to use it. Screw, bang and bone, and nail and pound. These are words that they're just a bit aggressive. So people do use them. Let me brighten this up a little bit. Oh, no, I can't. People do use them. Like, did you screw her? Did you screw last night? Did you bang him? Are you two banging each other? A guy would say, I boned her, or I nailed her, or I pounded her. But they're very aggressive. They're certainly not words you use to talk about making love, or they're not words you would use when talking about someone you respect and care about. And it's quite disrespectful for people to say or ask, do you want to screw? Do you want to bang? Can I pound you? Can I nail you? It's very unpleasant. So although boys mostly will use these phrases with their friends and think that's cool, be very careful. And especially talking to a girl would not appreciate you saying, can I pound you? I really want to nail you, because it's just too aggressive. They're very rough. There are loads of other fun, pleasant ways to talk about sex than to use these very base words. Okay. Pacific Oceana says, if I ask someone, do it, maybe people will ask me back, do what? Well, I guess it depends on the context of your conversation. If you're saying, oh, I don't know if I should sleep with him, and if you say, well, I think you should just do it, go and do it. Do you want to do it? Then they'll know what you're talking about. Erica said, can we use shag for someone we respect? I wouldn't. It depends on your relationship. If you have a laid back, very informal relationship where you use a lot of slang words and a lot of informal words, then maybe shag is fine. But if my boyfriend said to me, do you want to shag tonight? I would be like, that's a bit crude. That's a bit crass. I wouldn't like it. But everybody's different, of course. Some people talk about doing the nasty. I think this is more American than British, but I have heard it plenty of times. They did the nasty, or I want to do nasty things. Yeah, it is nasty. The word nasty is written, and so therefore it's on my more offensive word list. To do the nasty doesn't make it sound very pleasant. Bump uglies. So if we're considering our genitals to be not pretty, unattractive, then if you're having sex, you are bumping them together, you are banging them together, you are bumping uglies. Which again, because we're using the word ugly, it's quite an ugly phrase. So be careful when using this. I would definitely only use this with people you're very familiar with, and only if the situation is right, if they're the right people to say this kind of thing to. Oh, we bumped uglies last night. It can be fun to say that, but just be careful. And finally, what is considered a much more offensive swear word we use sometimes in this context, to fuck. So if two people have sex, they are fucking. Or if they did it in the past, they fucked. Fucked. Yeah. Not a great word to use in this scenario. I would definitely be upset if someone I had sex with said, I fucked her. That would make me feel very bad. I wouldn't like it at all. So be very careful when using this word, and remember this is a swear word, so just be aware. Be aware. Okay. So I'm going to stay online for about another 5 minutes to answer any questions or comments. Of course, there are many other aspects of this topic which need to be covered. The actual doing of the act, so having sex, we need to talk about the vocabulary and the slang and how we describe different parts of having sex and fooling around. And so because this is going to be even more embarrassing for me, I'm doing this as a Patreon only live broadcast on Monday at 10 a.m. If you would like to join in that discussion, it will be a very intimate class. There will only be probably 3 or 4 people live with me. If you'd like to join in, then you need to become a patron. You can join the Patreon campaign for as little as $1 a month. And with that, you'll get access to at least 2 extra live broadcasts a week, a month. Probably it's going to end up being 1 a week. So you'll get lots of extra classes as well as lots of extra awards as well. So if you want to be involved in that, then pop over to the Patreon campaign and sign up as one of my patrons. The link is in the description of this video. If you found this video helpful, please do give it a thumbs up. I found it quite hard and embarrassing to teach, so all I ask in return is that you give it a thumbs up and make sure you have pressed the big red subscribe button. If you found it helpful and you think your friends or your students would find it helpful too, then please feel free to share this video around. The bigger the audience is, the better it is for me. And that would be very nice of you. So, what have you guys got to say? What brand is your lipstick? My lipstick is MAC makeup, actually. MAC is quite a good brand. I'm sure you've heard of it. So I'm tidying up my messy hair. How messy I am. So it's MAC, M-A-C, MAC. Could you please show us the first part of the whiteboard again? I want to make a screenshot. Yes, of course. So here's the whiteboard in totality. Oh, let me try and get it so you can see everything. Okay. Hopefully that's all right for you. So Diego, for the extra live broadcast, the intimate private live broadcast, at the moment I'm only going to do 1 a fortnight just for the next month because I've got lots of videos to edit and make, and I'm doing lots of broadcasts at the moment. But from June, I'll probably be doing 1 live broadcast a week for patrons only. So if you want more one-to-one help, I'm going to be doing a lot more work writing corrections, that kind of thing, answering questions, having discussions with patrons. So you're more likely to get some good help as a patron from those sessions. So I hope that answers your question. So for now, 1 every 2 weeks, but once we hit June, I'll do 1 a week. Zahir, thank you very much for this lesson. You're very welcome. I'm glad that you've been here and very helpful, and I'm glad you found it helpful. Very grateful. Thank you, those guys who are thanking me. Thank you. You've been very kind to join me today, so I really appreciate it. What else have we got? So remember, I am also on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, although I don't use it as often, but I am on Twitter and Facebook as well, and I'm on Instagram. So if you want help with your English pronunciation, I offer free daily pronunciation practice videos on Instagram. So do come and join me there. The link is in the description of the video, and my ID is British English Pro. Also, if you are really keen to improve your English speaking, your pronunciation, I do have a course available as well with over 4 hours worth of video, and that can be found at britishenglishpro.com. Kisses from Brazil. Kisses back to Brazil. Anna, are you familiar with the word snog? Yes, I am, and it's pronounced snog. A word I used a lot when I was younger. I don't use it so much anymore, but to snog is to kiss passionately. So when you do an open-mouthed kiss, oh, like that, not quite like that, but not one of those, that is a peck. Give me a peck on the cheek, give me a peck on the lips, and a snog is open-mouthed, ah, like that. So silly. So yes, that's a snog. All right, some of you are asking how to contact me and how to make connection with me. So you can join me on social media. I mentioned earlier that I do have a WhatsApp group, which some of you have asked if you can join. The WhatsApp group is for gold members. Gold members have access to me on WhatsApp, and we speak regularly, usually daily. And they also get a 10-minute Skype call every week with me or with another native, just to practice your English speaking. That's gold membership, and gold membership is £15 a month, or you can pay less if you pay for a whole year. That's available also via the shop in britishenglishpro.com. So yes, if you're interested in joining the WhatsApp group, then you are free to become a gold member. And that just means you get more one-on-one help. I have about 10 members in that group. So yeah, if you want to join that, you can. If you're interested in Skype calls, then I do also offer private lessons. Again, all these things can be found in the shop at britishenglishpro.com. So if these are things you're after, come to the shop, have a look, see what's on offer. What does hook up mean? To hook up is exactly the same as just to have sex. So if you hook up with someone, you get together and you have sex. So a hookup could be casual, or it could turn into a committed dating scenario. But we hooked up. I can't believe we finally hooked up after all this time. It means to get together, and normally it means to have sex. Juan, snog is spelled S-N-O-G. Snog. Miguel, greetings. Hello, Mexico. Could you make specific lessons for specific jobs like doctors, teachers, and things like that, like your business English section? Yes, and I do plan to. So I will do. I find it so hard. I have 3 YouTube channels. If you don't know, I have 3 YouTube channels. Oh, I've got a pen on my finger. 3 YouTube channels. I have a singing education channel. So if you want to learn to sing, you can come and sing with me. That is Verba Vocal Technique. The link's in the description for this video. I have this channel, English Like a Native, and I hope you are all subscribed. And I have an adventure travel vlog, which is more just me, being me, having fun and traveling and discovering. And that's called Anna's Big Adventure. And the link to that is in the description as well. And keeping all those channels going, as well as teaching my WhatsApp students and teaching my private students and doing these live sessions, sometimes live on Facebook as well. It takes a lot of time. So I've got all these videos to make, all your suggestions I keep a note of, and it will come eventually. You just have to bear with me. If you are waiting for videos then and you enjoy them, you watch them regularly, make sure you've pressed the bell notification button next to subscribed, and this will mean that you are notified when I release new content or when I go live, so that you don't miss anything in future. Cool. Okay, well, I think it's time for me to go make some dinner. Andy says, do British people tend to hang out more easily? What are your best tips to ask someone out in England? I mean, I'll probably make a video about this, but you know, English people can be quite reserved, and sometimes being direct is not a good way to ask somebody out. Usually getting to know them first and not being obvious about what you want. So just being friendly and gentle in your approach is probably best. You know, just get to know them, find out what they like, buy them a drink, just talk to them. And if they don't seem interested, then don't push it, because if you push it with someone who doesn't seem interested, it just makes them worse. And don't be too direct. I think if you're too direct, then it's not good. So, okay. In Japan, hello. Tell me, what kind of English do you speak? Posh, Cockney, or something else? So I'm generally speaking like what you would call I would call it a standard British English accent, but it's generally like a soft RP. I mean, RP is terribly, terribly posh. I don't speak like that. So soften it off and you have a standard British English accent. So it's just a general English Southern accent. Okay, so May says it's hookup offensive. No, it's not really offensive. I wouldn't use it formally, but it's not offensive. If I say to you, I hooked up last night, I'm not being offensive, and I wouldn't expect you to take offense at that. Okay, wonderful. So thank you very much, guys. You've been a pleasure. Thank you particularly to my moderators for keeping everybody under control. Look out next Monday after I've done my private live broadcast with my patrons on the intimate acts of sex and how we talk about the act of sex. I will cover things like oral sex, masturbation, all these embarrassing things. Once I've recorded that and done that live with my patrons, I will then post the video up on YouTube. So if you don't want to join us live as a patron, then you'll still get access to the video later on. So join us there. And at some point, yes, I'll also cover the ins and outs of dating as well. Some of you are asking for that. So don't forget to come and join me on Instagram. I'm trying to build up the numbers there and I'd love for you to join me. There's free posts, free lessons in pronunciation every day. So lots for you to get out of that. All the links to everything I've talked about is in the description of this video. So check it out. Press subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up. Take care and I will see you again on Monday. Thanks guys. Take care. Mwah.